Everybody shut up.
Okay, shut up.
Okay. Yeah, okay, everybody shut up.
But really shut up. Okay.
Hello, and welcome to Way Too Broad, a place for friends to talk about the things that make them sound crazy. I'm Hannah, and these are my co-hosts, Erin and Ben. Hi, Erin.
Hey there, Hannah.
How you doing?
I am so good. I'm so happy to be here with you.
You're looking fresh.
Thank you. With my haircuts.
Yes. Excellent haircut.
Self-administered haircut.
It's a perfectly self-administered haircut. And Ben, how are you? I can't see you. How's your hair?
My hair is long and needs to be cut desperately.
Ben, I cut my own hair last night.
Did you really?
I did.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the first time I've ever cut my own hair.
It went well. It looks good.
It did. It was touch and go. I had a contingency plan. It was like 11. I had not been drinking. Well, a little bit. I had not been drinking heavily. And I was like fed up with my long shaggy hair. And I was like, I'm going to cut my own hair in this like brilliant light bulb moment. And then I was like, the barber opens at 8 a.m. tomorrow. So I'll just take it nice and easy. And it turned out okay.
Yeah, it's good.
So there's only one rule on Way Too Broad, and it's that we have to be excited about the things that we're talking about. So that rule we will be following closely.
You all have to be excited about my haircut.
We don't all have to be excited about it, but you have to be.
I am so excited about it. Thank you.
Does anybody have any corrections or check-ins from last time?
I think I'm good.
Any updates? I feel like I had something to tell Ben. Oh, there is a new setting on PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, which Ben talked about in episode 2. Have you seen it yet, Ben?
I have not. I've kind of stopped playing because that game runs so poorly on my computer that it practically crashes it almost every time I play it because like my computer has 8 gigs of RAM and
is that good?
That's all right, but like if I let that game run for too long, it uses like 4 gigs. Like it keeps building up and doesn't ever slow down and makes my computer run super slow, and then the game usually crashes, and when it is running, it runs really bad. For people with better computers, it's a great game.
I think we need to call an intervention for Ben. I think Ben is in an abusive relationship with his computer. This is the second time I've heard that his computer like didn't want him to do something. For instance, we are in a video chat right now, and Ben is not in video because he's like, oh, my computer doesn't want me to do video. And your computer's like, you know what? I don't want you to see your friends. And your computer's like, I don't want you to play that game.
Yeah,
I don't like that game.
It literally blue screens if I try to use my camera on Google Hangouts.
You need to find a new computer relationship.
That's not healthy.
Honestly, buy me a new one.
That's a journey you have to make on your own.
Well, when you get a chance, Ben, you can look at the video that I sent you because Ian just like supposedly the fog setting is not that common, like even compared to rain and stuff. But Ian just like started it up right before we before I took the computer back to record this with you guys, and it just was like fog immediately.
Is that like his computer crashing? For Ben, it would be like the new feature is like a blue fog, a blue screen.
And there's also for anybody who might be interested, you might like it, Ben. There's a really cool story that I listened to a podcast called Waypoint. Is that what it's called though?
A podcast that may or may not be called Waypoint.
It's called Waypoint Radio.
Did you mean an ear snack?
Yeah, oh my god, yes.
Yeah, what was that other word you used?
It's a weird word.
I don't know, sorry.
It's a dumb word.
It's just a weird tick that I have. Yeah, I listened to this ear snack called Waypoint Radio, and the last episode that they did, this guy described accidentally getting into a squad fog match with strangers, and how when the last two of them were left, they had no way to communicate, but like they got to the end, and how he felt like Jason Voorhees like running after people in the fog.
Did you hear about
anyway?
On the same patch where they added fog, they also introduced a bug where you know how there's like a group voice chat you can join, and there's also like an open voice chat, like everyone in the game, if you're near them, is in the same voice chat as you. And there was this bug where whether you had that setting turned off or not, everyone was in the same voice chat. So just everyone could hear each other.
That's no good. Because if you're a decent person, you turn that off immediately.
Exactly.
No.
So they hotfixed that pretty quickly, but apparently I had a couple friends who played on it during that. Apparently it was insane.
That is insane. Okay, should we get into it?
Yeah.
I actually had a quick thing. It wasn't it's not a correction, but it was like a realization for a potential segment.
Okay.
Which also might have been good to mention before we actually started recording. You know, it's like a hot take segment. It occurred to me as we were starting to develop our own inside jokes within this ear snack that we also, since we're family and have known each other literally our entire lives, also have a lot of inside jokes as a family, and I'm in scenarios where I will use one of those jokes feeling like it's a cultural reference, but it's actually a familial inside joke, and I thought that this might be a perfect vehicle to bring these really great inside joke treasures to the outside world.
I love this so much.
So I had one prepared for tonight.
Okay.
We have a whole host of them as a family, but I have one.
We should definitely start a note about this because I don't always remember them like off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's like one of those things that you'll just like say to somebody and you're like, oh yeah, this thing, expecting them to be like, oh haha, shared memory, but they don't know it because they weren't there.
Right.
So this one is great in so many scenarios. It originated, the origin story was, oh gosh, how long ago was it? We took a family trip to London, and
I think
it was 2006.
Yeah, a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And we witnessed this couple
oh my god,
having this incredible argument / breakup at a bus station, and it was like if you saw it in a movie, you would be like, that's overly dramatic. That would never happen.
They cut that.
Like, twice over. You would be like, this is, like, way over the top. And the man kept pleading with the woman, allow it. Allow it. Allow it. I'm not sure in what context.
It was, like, really not stuff that she should have been allowing. Just
allow it. You know, we were like, allow what? But that became our like mantra over the rest of the trip. You know, somebody would be frustrated about something and be like, allow it, allow it.
I'm gonna bring that back into my repertoire. I haven't used it in a while.
Well, you can't use it if you're not around our family because nobody else was there. Thing is, like,
but it didn't make sense. It doesn't make sense anyway. So, like, maybe I'll just keep...
in context.
Yeah, like, even in context, it doesn't make any more sense.
I need you to allow it, Tim. Allow it.
Yeah.
So I think I'll just start shouting it at people, and they'll eventually get the gist
allow
of it.
That is exactly the original concept.
Yeah, exactly.
So you should do that.
I'm wondering if she allowed it. Like, that's the big, mystery of my life. Today. Did she allow it? We'll never know. And I'm just gonna have to allow it. So world, meet, allow it, meet, world.
We have, like, probably, you know, some subscribers that don't know that story. Probably.
Maybe next,
so that's great.
Do you guys remember the Quiz Call song?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But we need to save
I was gonna say, maybe that's for next week. We can introduce the Quiz Call song.
Next week it's gonna be. We have so
many.
I
remember all the words to the Quiz Call song? Maybe.
I do. And we have so many good nuggets from Quiz Call as well. So that, if you're wondering what that is, maybe Google it. That's a good place to start.
I wonder if it's still on.
And we'll hit you next time with our Quiz Call inside jokes.
This is perfect. I love this.
Thanks for allowing it.
I allow it. I'm allowing it. I have a quick terminology, and it makes me happy. We do this one a lot. So one day, Ian was like, or I was like leaving for work, but I had to go get like some blood drawn that day. And so Ian, instead of saying "have a good day," he was like, "Have good blood." And I was like, that is great, and you could really use it all the time, because when do you not need to have good blood?
True.
I cannot think of a scenario
where you don't want to have good blood, right? Like,
oh, well, maybe if you're trying to like be in a Taylor Swift song, specifically Bad Blood. If you're trying to be about the song Bad Blood, then you would need Bad Blood. Otherwise,
hide from vampires.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to have bad blood.
But that's it. Those are the only two.
It's the only two. So pretty universally,
pretty universally with very few exceptions.
Yeah. So I'm first today.
Oh, good. You know, I did not read the outline. This may come as a surprise.
We're just rotating, so I'm first, and then Erin, and then Ben.
Okay.
Cool.
So, mine, as you guys got a sneak peek at earlier today, is personality tests. My obsession this week.
Oh.
I love them. Like, I'll do any personality test that is put in front of me. Like, I have to be like careful about like phishing websites and stuff. But like the other day, there was a BuzzFeed quiz that was like, pick your favorite dog from these pictures, and we'll tell you what flavor of LaCroix is your favorite. And I did that one.
What were you? I'm dying to know. What dog did you pick, and what flavor were you?
Oh, God. I don't remember what dog I picked. Or what flavor it was.
Your personality is forgetful.
But one that I got super into a while back was this. It's basically the Myers-Briggs personality test, but it's this cool, pretty version of it on the website that I sent to you guys earlier today, called 16 Personalities. Actually, like, at the time that I discovered this, I showed it to a bunch of people at my office, and a ton of them ended up doing it, and I made like a PowerPoint slide that showed like what everybody was like. I don't know if you guys saw like the whole there's like a screen on there that shows like all the different personality types with their names and like the little cutesy pictures of them.
Yep. And
I put like people's faces over the things that they were from like the employee directory, in kind of an attempt to help to try to help the people that like work together in my office like understand each other a little better. I don't know how successful it was, but it was really interesting to like see what everybody got and see how those personality types like related to each other on the like board of personalities, and like what the names were that they had given to all these different personality types. Because what I really like about these tests, specifically the 16 personalities test, is that it doesn't just tell you that you're like what your like 4 letters are. It tells you, it gives like a name to that, and it gives a name to the different like groupings of them. So, I can explain like what the letters mean and stuff, in case people are not familiar with this type of test. Do you guys think that would be? I don't want to get too deep into it, but
yeah, and it's the website is 16 personalities.
Yeah, 16 the number.
I thought this was really cool. I got pretty into it tonight, so
good. I'm
excited
glad
about this.
Yeah, I sent it as a teaser for what's coming up after this explanation. I sent this to Ben and Erin earlier because I asked them if they had time to take it today, and they both did. So
which was a test in and of itself
that I knew failed.
I'm just looking for where it says what the letters mean, and I don't know.
Oh, I have that pulled up
for me.
Do you want me to pull it up?
Yeah, will you?
Or I have it pulled up. I can explain the. Do you want me to just run through it here?
Sure. Do my job for me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm asking.
So, well, I like it. They break it down in a couple ways. So it's like mind, energy, nature, tactics, identity. And within that, within mind, they have extroverted and introverted, which is the E and the I. For energy, they have intuitive or observant, so that's I and O.
And an O.
For nature, they have...
Yeah.
For nature, they have thinking and feeling, so T and F. And tactics, they have judging and prospecting, J and P. And then there's an additional one. I think this is maybe outside the Myers-Briggs, which has an identity, and that's assertive versus turbulent.
Yeah, so you can be, there's like 16 of them in total that you can be, and then the assertive and turbulent is kind of outside of that. It's just kind of like it doesn't really change your personality type. But
Just some more information.
Yeah, but I, on every Myers-Briggs test I've ever taken, am an INFP, which is
INFP.
which they call the mediator, which is funny when you consider the way that I found this website was literally trying to help people understand each other better. Like,
And you love personality tests, so you're also trying to help yourself understand yourself better.
yeah, and yes, there are so many things in here, and I won't get too deep into it because I know it's not as interesting to anybody as it is to myself. But there's especially this one part where it talks about how INFPs hate talking on the phone because we either want to either have time to structure our thoughts, as in writing like an email or something, or we want to have a personal touch, as in looking face to face with someone and really being able to get your point across.
Same.
And I had always my entire life have hated talking on the phone, and I've never fully understood why until I read that. And I was like, yes, that is exactly true. Like, there's nothing that's pleasant to me about talking on the phone in the least. Nothing is worth a call to me these days.
Throwback to last week. Do you feel differently talking on video chat? Like, we're on video chat right now. Is this much more comfortable for you?
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you feel less comfortable talking to me because my face is not on your screen?
I feel less comfortable talking to you because you
like
are...
me less than Erin.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, Ben. Spoiler alert.
Because you are a dodo bird.
I disagree with you, Hannah. I would love to hear, like, the specific parts that really resonate with you, and also the parts that you feel like don't as much. Like, where they kind of got the description wrong about you.
Okay.
Also, if it helps, I also got INFP. So,
Okay.
we can spend a little more time, like, describing it in general, since that works for both of us, if you want to.
Yeah.
Should we just, Erin, do you want to tell us what you got? Is it an E something?
Yeah, yep. Well, yeah. I got, I'm the campaigner, and I got ENFP.
Oh, so you're the same,
that's
just with
crazy.
an I.
So you have all the same letters.
Right,
as us,
exactly,
except
except for the extroversion. Yeah, which
That's
I
nuts.
score
But
pretty
every
highly
other
on.
time I've taken this, I've got an INTJ. Also, I don't know.
Here's another interesting thing. Ian is in exactly the same situation as you, Ben. He gets INFP on this test, and he's always gotten, or maybe it's INFJ that he's always gotten, but he gets the same as me on this test too. So weird.
Samesies.
Yeah. So this absolutely speaks to me. Just looking at the summary, like, mediator personalities are true idealists, always looking for the hint of good in even the worst of people and events, searching for ways to make things better. I feel like I spend my, like, life looking for silver linings and everything, sometimes probably to the annoyance of people who are just trying to be, like, sad about stuff. And then also, when I can't find, like, the positive in a situation, it makes me feel, like, really terrible and hopeless because I am so good at finding, like, the positive in a situation. There's a thing, I'm not sure where it is in here, but, like, every time that I've seen something about INFPs, there's a thing about having really intense, like, core personal, like, values, and, like, being, like, cool about them. Like, you won't push them on other people, but if somebody tries to challenge those like directly to you, then you can like get really angry and like lash out about it. And like that's for sure true. And like sometimes it's not even about like religion or politics. It can be for me about things like movies and television. Like I have a friend who like will not watch Parks and Recreation, and I cannot stop like bothering him about it because I so strongly believe that it's such a good show.
I have never seen it, but it's not like a
I don't understand why anyone
moral
would like
thing.
refuse to watch that show.
He says it because he's like seen all of the jokes on the internet about it, that he feels like he's seen it already.
That's so
and I was like, you
dumb.
don't even know.
Oh my god!
half
Oh my god!
of it.
Oh my god! My mom, who I don't think listens to this podcast. I love her. She's like one of the smartest people I know. Is like, she'll be like, yeah, I read the Harry Potter books. She's like, well, I read the first 2 and then I've seen the movies. And I'm like, no,
God.
it like makes my head explode. Makes my fucking head explode. I'm like, you have. I like develop a stutter when I talk to her about this. I'm like, you haven't read the book.
That seems
like,
so
you don't-
unlike your mom to do something
I
like
know.
that.
I
She
know.
like edit books for
Yeah, she
part of
reads.
her
She's a
living?
voracious reader. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that more than me? Obviously, yeah. She's a crazy. She reads all the time, all manner of book, and and she's like, oh, but
no
she's
magical
read them.
adventures.
Yeah, she's like, well, I've seen the movies. I'm like, don't. Anyway,
No.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here. This is a good page. These are strengths and weaknesses for Ben and me, supposedly. Idealistic. These are our strengths. Seek and value harmony. Open-minded and flexible. Very creative. Passionate and energetic. Dedicated and hardworking.
The
I
passionate,
agree with all
energetic
those
part
things.
is particularly relevant to why you started this podcast. When something captures mediators' imagination and speaks to their beliefs, they go all in, dedicating their time, energy, thoughts, and emotions to the project.
yeah, here
I.e.,
you go.
they get obsessed with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything
Yeah.
that doesn't you don't relate to?
All the weaknesses.
All of them.
I have no weaknesses, therefore I disagree with all of the ones stated.
No, well, there is like in a few places in here, it talks about how mediators or INFPs are difficult to get to know, that we're very private, reserved, and
Well, I
self-conscious.
related hard to that. Well, what percent introverted were you? There's like a percentage for each.
1,000. Like, really a lot.
What percent
70%.
specifically?
I was 90%.
Wow.
Wow.
So maybe
That's
that's why I
crazy.
relate to that more.
Well, I don't, like, I guess the thing is that I kind of get it in, like, it talks about it a lot in the part that's about workplace. Because a thing that's cool about this website is that it breaks it up by, like, romantic relationships and parenting and career path and, what you're like as a colleague and as a boss and as someone who's being managed and and all that stuff. And that I really like about it, because I haven't seen a personality like thing that really does it that way and makes it relatable.
Yeah.
But on a professional level, I relate to that. Like, it doesn't super appeal to me to, like, I've made exceptions to this rule, but in general, it doesn't super appeal to me to, like, go out for drinks with people I work with all the time and, like, let them, like, into my, like, whole life 100%, because I feel like there's a value to me to keeping those relationships separate, and, like, just being at work when I'm at work, like, makes things easier for me to, like, focus.
Mm-hmm.
But when people ask me, like, anything about my life, or if we, like, end up in a conversation about it, like, I don't feel like I hold back. Like, I feel like I'm pretty honest about, like, I don't think of myself as, like, a secretive person or, like, someone who doesn't share or overshare at times.
I don't think of myself that way either, but I'm definitely the kind of person where, like, I won't, like, I always describe it as, like, if someone initiates a conversation with me that like seems interesting, I will talk for hours. But, like, first, I rarely will start conversations on my own, especially with people I don't know. And also, like, if a conversation's not interesting to me, I'll sometimes just, like, get out of it which I get.
I super do
and
that.
that we get from our mom, like 100%. She's awful about it though. Like she'll just like ignore or walk away. I think.
Ben, do you remember at trivia the other night when I was like, she listens to this, but that's okay. We called our team Shrimp Heaven Now, and we were like, do you want to know why? And she's like, no, I just really don't care. And like, she's like,
I love that.
yeah.
I think that's the thing. Like, introversion doesn't mean you're like not.
Like it doesn't mean antisocial. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't mean antisocial. It doesn't mean you only want to exist for yourself. It's just, I feel like it's like propensity to like, if you're like dropped in a room with you, if you're dropped in a room with a stranger, are you gonna be like, oh hello,
Yeah.
or are you gonna like take a while to like warm up and
yeah, exactly,
that sort of thing.
Right.
Or you're going to be like, why was I dropped in a room?
Specifically when it comes to, like, introversion versus extroversion, I have a lot of problems with the way that introverts are like, talked about and portrayed, I'm making air quotes, in like, media and conversation and, like, popular culture. I feel like to say someone is introverted, it does become synonymous with, like, shy and quiet. Mm-hmm. Like, when I tell people I'm an introvert that I work with or whatever, they're like, no, you're not. You don't seem, shy. And I'm like, I'm not, like...
I didn't say I was shy.
I mean, I can be. Yeah. But, like... but, like, it's not. It's really... It's just, like... Because here's the thing. The conversations you're talking about, Ben, like, basically amount to small talk.
Yeah, I hate small talk.
Small talk is absolutely nothing but draining for an introvert. Like, it's giving up a bunch of your energy and getting nothing back for it. Because you as an introvert, you lose energy from like social interaction, whereas an extrovert gains energy from social interaction. So I have to feel, and this is pretty much what you were describing, Ben. Like, I have to feel like I'm, like there's a value to the conversation I'm about to have, or else like it's just not. It's like it's a losing kind of.
Yep.
The math doesn't work out for me.
There was another part about the INFP thing that I really related to. Something, it was when it was like saying the friendship parts, where it was like, you'll tend to have few friendships, but the ones that you have will last like a long time. That's always been true for me. Like my best friend is someone who I went to like elementary and middle school with, and then we went to different high schools in like different towns. And then I went to college and he didn't, and like stayed at home, and we lived far apart, and now he lives in California, but like we're still really close and probably will be for, I don't know, forever. And it's like, it's like this, because that friendship just like clicked, it's stuck through situations where more superficial friendships will kind of fall by the wayside.
And I feel like too, if you have, complementing personality types, where a constant communication isn't necessary for the friendship too, then that can be really compatible for a long-lasting friendship.
Yes,
totally.
That's very true.
What I was gonna say earlier about like y'all being introverted, I think it surprised me for you, Ben, not for you, Hannah, just because I like know you so well and have spent like so much time with you. Mm-hmm. But like I think it's hard to tell if your family's introverted or not. I feel like totally. If you know them well, like I think I find out my family or even my wife Molly was introverted. I think I knew she was introverted, but just like how much when you like are spending one-on-one time with them, like an introvert is not going to be introverted with you if you connect with them and are one-on-one with them, but then you like go in a social setting and then you're like, oh, they're an introvert. They're not saying anything.
Yep. Totally.
Yeah, that's so true. Like, and the thing I was saying about the phone, even like I call Ian and I have talked on the phone every day since the first day that we met, and I have no problems with talking to him on the phone. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't have any problems with talking to me on the phone. But even listening, like, I just have to tell this story. It's not really related to his introversion because he was talking to his mother. But the other day, I was laying in bed and he was out on the couch and he was talking on the phone to who I found out was his mom. And I guess she was in like bad signal. And he was saying something like ridiculously awesome or something like that. He was saying some 2-word phrase, and he said it like ridiculously awesome, ridiculously awesome, ridiculously. And I was like, what's going on? But I just like kind of just like checked out, and like I was like writing something or whatever for what felt like a few minutes, and then I kind of just like I tuned back into what was going on back there, and he was still like going ridiculously, and then after he was finally he was like, yeah, and then he was like, awesome. Started doing it again.
First word confirmed.
It's like, what is happening here? She just couldn't hear him, but he was being very patient, which is a wonderful quality of his.
That's really funny that you and Ian are the exact same types. So I took this, and then I had Molly take it. She's really into the Briggs-Myers test, and I had never taken it before. And so it was cool.
Really?
We took it. Yeah, so I took it. Actually took it twice, because I took it the first time at work, and I was really caffeinated and like in having a good day at work, and so I feel like it I got the same result but with different percentages, and I feel like the percentages I got the second time back when I was at home and kind of reflected on it were a little more accurate. But so I got ENFP, so extroverted, intuitive, feeling, prospecting, and assertive. And the first time my extroverted score was like 91.
Wow.
But I retook it, and I got an 84% extroverted, which I feel is more accurate. I feel like with something Molly was saying, she loves personality tests. You guys should talk. Hannah.
Yeah, we should.
But she's taken.
I've never talked to her before.
You should meet my wife. That's weird because you were the matron of honor at my wedding. So
it was weird.
maybe you
I
guys
know. It was awkward.
could have talked.
We're both
then.
introverted, so
Yeah, it's true. But she's taken it and gotten, you change. But I feel like being with her I'm definitely like more of a homebody and have a little bit more as I get older. I think I think the homebody is being like with her and domestically happy and like liking to be at home. But
yeah,
I also like, as I've gotten older, like have more social anxiety. Like I feel like I used to be like maybe 100% extroverted and have definitely gotten more introverted as I've gotten older.
It was
Molly,
super convenient when we used to like hang out when we would go on vacations together, and I would be like, I really want to talk to those kids over there, but I can't. And you'd be like, I'll go do it.
Yeah, no problem. So Molly is like really introverted. She scores really. She's almost like the opposite of me on the extroverted, introverted. I think she's about in the 80s of introverted, and then has like a small percentage. But it's really interesting. So she is the logician,
Oh,
which is INTP.
she's only one letter off from us too.
Well, it's actually interesting because she scores almost exactly in the middle between the architect, which is INTJ, and the logician, which is INTP. She thinks, like, some things about the architect are really true to her, but I think she said she identifies most strongly with the description of the logician. But what's really interesting...
Innovative inventors with an unquenchable thirst for knowledge.
Yes. Like, she will tell you, like, her favorite thing is learning. She, like, loves to learn. Something that's really interesting from her thing, well, it's just really interesting, like, to read both of ours, it made a lot of sense about kind of how we connect with each other. Like, logician, the profile of a logician is that am I saying that word right?
Yeah,
you got it.
I've, like, never, you just, like, don't hear that, like, thrown around casually. Oh, he's a magician. I'm like, a magician?
Ian says negotiate instead of negotiate.
That's definitely wrong.
Ian's an idiot.
But but it's like, you know, for a romantic, in the romantic area, it's like, basically, you know, they'll, like, form a really strong romantic attachment, but for friendships, it's many of the usual motivations for making friends, emotional support, social validation, shared routine, simply don't apply to logicians. And I thought that seemed really interesting, because I'm like always seeing a friend or talking to a friend or visiting a friend on weekends, and that's just like not necessarily like what motivates her.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting to see both mine and hers, and kind of like how we relate to each other and connect in that way.
Yeah. Ben, Kylie's gonna take it, isn't she?
Yeah, Kylie took it, and she got ENFJ, which is the protagonist.
Oh.
And then she also messaged me and said, "Wait, you are not INFP." So apparently she disagrees with my result also.
Just to read the description of what Ben's girlfriend disagrees with: poetic, kind, and altruistic people, always eager to help a good cause.
I think I definitely, there were some things with the mediator that I didn't super relate with, but then there were some where I was like, shit, this is like the thing about career paths, where it was like, though intelligent, the regimented learning style schools, blah 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 blah, where the fuck was it? Oh, at the same time, that's often what's needed to advance in a field that's ringing true for them, meaning an advanced degree. And I was thinking about that because today I was looking at jobs since I'm graduating college, and I'm trying to decide if I want to go to grad school or go straight into industry. And I was looking at jobs in like the field that I want to work in, which is power electronics, and like all of the jobs require either like 10 years experience or like a PhD.
I hope you do it. I also super identified with that part, and it was because like I went into college undeclared, and I thought about majoring in psych, but there are just like, psych is not a fucking science. I'm sorry, but like there are like, they were like, okay, so this week we're going to learn this model of psychology, and so this is the way that the human mind works, maybe, or next week we're going to talk about this, which is totally different and incompatible with the first one, and then you're like, oh, so is this new one that we're learning the right one, and that's like an old theory, and they're just like, no, and then that's like it.
Weren't Myers and Briggs psychologists?
Yes, and that was kind of like the other thing I wanted to mention, is that like there are some problems with things like this. Like, I think they're all interesting and useful frameworks for like learning more about yourself, but there are flaws, like the fact that you're self-reporting. So like what you may get is not what someone taking it for you would get, which is an interesting thing I want to try with like having, like, I took it pretending I was Ian, but I didn't get anything different. But like,
but that's interesting because you are the same one as he is.
That's true.
Which you knew. That segues nicely into over dinner tonight. My wife and I took this test for our dog. Because we were like, this is really cool. I wonder what personality type Henry is. And then we were like, let's take the test for him.
Does his mind often wander when he's in nature?
100% strong agree. It was funny to take it for him because some of the questions are like hard to answer for a dog. So we would like all the email questions. There are a couple that have to do with email. We answered neutrally because we were like, he doesn't actually know about email. But some of them were like your personality type, like your motivation comes in like short, energetic spurts, and we were like, strong agree. Henry Brown, our dog, is actually the same personality type as me, and we both took this and like agreed on each answer before we moved forward. But Henry is 58% extroverted, 72% intuitive, which is funny because I don't think he's either intuitive or observant. His nature is 56% feeling. His tactics are 84% prospecting, and his identity is 73% turbulent.
Wow, so he's real not sure about what he is.
I think it has a lot to do with like how many neutrals you put, probably.
Yeah.
We only ended up with like 2 or 3 neutrals. But a lot of them were like, very strong, or, very strong agree, very strong disagree for him.
Well, I don't know.
Especially, like, your mind wanders in nature, like, yeah.
No shit.
Squirrel.
Yes, there are so many smells in nature. All right. Well, cool. So we will do homework at the end, and I'll tell everybody again where to find these personality tests.
That was so fun. Thank you for an interesting...
That was fun. I hope we do more experiments that we can share over emails and social medias and stuff next week.
Mine's really small. Work has been very busy, so it's been hard to, like, have an obsession outside of, like, working. But I do have one. Yeah. You know, I've been in my reading obsession kick, and also this kind of ties into, like, last week's I've been, like, you know, getting back to the library, and also I've been really into, like, queer media, and so this kind of, like, intersects between the two, and I'm going to share with everybody today my favorite author, who is, she's so great, and I just reread one of her books, which I checked out from the library. I actually own all of her books, but I lend them out. I'm, like, the type of person that if you express interest in, like, anything of mine, I'm like, oh, why don't you just have it or borrow it? So, which is sometimes afterwards, I'm like, why did I do that?
Wait, can I jump in right here real quick? There's a woman at my office and who I love to death who does that every time that you tell you like something in her office. She's like, oh, take it! And it throws me off every single time.
Yeah.
Because
I know people like that. I don't think I'm that bad, but I'm definitely like, I'll tell you excitedly about a book I like and be like, oh, why don't you just borrow it? So I have a friend who's been borrowing this book for a long, long time. And so I was like, oh, I want to reread it. And so I just checked it out from the library instead of badgering her about it. Anyway, because that's my personality type. I'd rather consider somebody's feelings than step on their toes. So that was a question. But yeah, her name is not my friend, the author, maybe a future friend. Her name is Sarah Waters, and her genre is really interesting. She's a great writer. Like my mom, who's very picky about this, like is like, oh, she's like such a good writer. Like agrees that her writing is beautiful and just like, you know, paragraphs that you wish you could memorize, just for like really beautiful turns of phrase. Her genre, mainly, a lot of her books are period pieces set in London, and they're lesbian romances. So they're, like, beautifully written. So it's like if you were reading Jane Eyre, and you're like, I wish this had a lesbian romance in it, which is what I usually think. And then you're like, just read a Sarah Waters book. And then that's, like, you get, like, that quality of writing, that kind of, like, older time period that's really interesting, and she does a ton of research. Like, you can tell she's like a history nerd to the max, and so she like in the back of each book there's like all the books that she read, like doing research. So they're all really well researched and a lot of very detailed. Like a lot, you can tell like a lot of the vocabulary she uses are fitting with the period, and they're just really good, complex. They're not like romance novels. They just like have lesbian romances in them, and sometimes not necessarily even like the main plot. Like just as you know, like a book about something else, like a murder mystery, might have a romance in it. So for me, like really being interested in that and that resonating with me, I really love that. So some books that I love by her are my favorite book is by her. It's called Tipping the Velvet. I really love The Paying Guests, which I just reread. She has a book. So all of her books are... Yeah, Fingersmith is so good. Fingersmith is so good. Have you been listening to it, Hannah?
No.
Oh.
I will. I will.
Did you just think that title was funny? Is that why you held that
I just
up?
thought the title was funny.
I have a funny story about that. I went to the bookstore to get that book, and I walked up to my local bookstore. I walked up to the book tender, like what are they called?
Definitely like, that from now on.
I was like, do you? I was like,
the bookkeeper.
Do you have fingerlings? I was like, I'm looking for fingerlings by Sarah Waters. And she's like, fingerlings? And I'm like, yes, fingerlings. And the was like clickety clack on her computer, and then she was like, "Do you mean Fingersmith?" And I was like, "Yes. Why, yes, I do. Fingersmith, please." I was thinking of the potatoes, I think. Anyway,
those are the best potatoes.
They're very good.
So,
Fingersmith is a good book, and there's a new movie out, and it's on Amazon Prime, and it's great. That's a Korean movie inspired by Fingerlings by Fingersmith.
What's it called?
It's called The Handmaid.
Korean movies and TV. South Korean movies and TV are my jam.
It's weird. It's weird.
Obsession.
But I would really encourage you to read Fingersmith first, because it's one of those things it's like Fight Club. Like, if you know the secret, it's like you can't watch the movie the same way. Like, it's impossible to watch the movie the same way if you know the secret. And it would be a shame to read the book and know the twist.
Okay.
So, from the movie. One thing I'll mention about Sarah Waters, I love her and I adore her writing. She has a book called The Little Stranger, and I read it, and it has no lesbians in it. It's her only book that doesn't, and that's fine. But the book is like...
That's fine.
That's fine. The book is like this. It's pretty thick, and here's me reading it. It's like boring, 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 boring. So scary! So scary. Boring, boring, boring. And then it ends. Like it can't be alone and read it, scary, and then continues to be boring, and then it's over. So that's me for this week.
I want to read more scary books.
Well, you can read a portion of this book.
Yeah, I don't want to I won't get through the boring.
No,
so much boring.
It's a lot of boring.
Also, as a follow-up to last week that I forgot earlier, I watched all of One Mississippi this week.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So good.
Oh my god. Isn't it incredible?
Take no time.
Did I oversell it at all?
Was on the latest episode of Comedy Bang Bang this Monday promoting that.
Yeah, she was. I listened to it.
It was very good. I liked it a lot.
I love her.
She's so great.
Yeah, she is.
And that show, Ben, have you watched it yet?
I haven't watched the first season. I haven't seen the second yet.
It's so much better.
Season is so good.
Really?
Because I don't want to spoil too much. Is it too much to say that all three of the main characters get love interests?
No, it's not too much. And it's so good.
Yeah. It's like you won't expect which one of the love interests you'll enjoy the most.
Yeah.
Of the three of them. I'll just say that.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's all I want to say right now.
All right.
But
I'm like, how could season 2 have been better? It couldn't have been better.
No, it couldn't have been. This is how good it was. I was like, okay, I really want to watch this because Erin said all this stuff about it and it's really good. And we watched the first season and it was really good. And he's like, okay, well, why don't we watch 1 or 2 episodes, and then we'll space it out or whatever. And then we sat down and watched the entire season. We didn't stop.
We had to stop ourselves because we restarted it at season 1, like I said, and we had to be like, we need to save some for later. Like, we can't stay up super late and watch both seasons.
Oh, so good.
I'm so glad that you caught up on that.
I'm so glad you're getting me into all of the best forms of lesbian art.
Doing what I can.
All right,
Thanks, Erin.
Should I go to mine?
Yeah, Ben, what you got?
Like I mentioned, mine's pretty quick. So today was a pretty big day for my senior year of college because it was the day that we found out what our senior projects are. So all engineering students across the entire country, in order for an engineering college to get accreditation, there has to be a senior design project, which is something we learned I thought was interesting. And so the way it works is they solicit projects from alumni and from industry and from professors, and then we look at this list of 45 projects and pick our top 3, and then we get put in teams of 5 according to those choices and our skill sets and stuff. And I got my top choice, which was the project title is the Energy Scavenging Batteryless Nightlight.
Whoa.
And it's a really, really cool thing because it's combining 2 really novel technologies, which are optical waveguides, which are basically just things that effectively focus ambient light into one area, and also supercapacitors, which are just a way of storing energy an alternative to batteries, which is why these are batteryless. And it's just a really exciting project for me because I'm like, being an electrical engineering student, I want to work in a field that has to do with, either renewable energy or just improving efficiency of energy we use now so that we can reduce our reliance on fossil fuels and everything. And this would be like a way to do that I can work on through my senior year. And it's also like super good experience, and it's going to be a big part of my life until next May when we like present it. Dang. Like we work on it the entire rest of the school year, like constantly pretty much. So it's just like a real big thing, and I'm really excited for it. The idea is basically like there's energy in ambient light in a room all day because light traveling is electromagnetic waves traveling. And what optical waveguides do is they harness that energy that's just like sitting out in a room all day, and what our job is to build the like circuit and electronics necessary to harness that energy and store it in one place so that when the light goes away, the night light will turn on.
Dang, that is so neat.
Yeah, I'm like super excited about it. I was really happy with it because I was like, there weren't a lot of the projects I was super excited about, but that one I was like, this sounds super fucking dope.
And so are your kind of group mates randomly assigned, or can you kind of choose who's in your group?
You pick like your preferences totally independently, and I think like some people probably talk to their friends to try and like get in the same group, but they have to split it up a lot because like there are some projects that are like disproportionately more popular than others. Some aren't even picked, so it's pretty hard to do. Squeaks is purring.
There's a cat trying to get in on a podcast.
She just like rubbed her face on the mic. You can hear her.
Yeah.
So that's neat. Do you know the people in your group pretty well, or are they like strangers to you?
I know one of them pretty well. I've had like a few classes with them, and then the other. There were 5 total, including me. One of them wasn't there today, and I didn't recognize their name, and then 2 I like have seen around but don't really know. So it's going to be getting to know these people too.
Do you feel like it's, when you think about like this in terms of like a group project, which like everybody hates group projects, do you think this will be a little different because everybody's kind of like equally motivated to do well?
Yeah, I think so. It's also, what's good about these projects is that they're generally like because they're such kind of like detailed products that have to be designed and made, there's a lot of different responsibilities that need to be filled, so you can split the work up a lot so you don't like have to be like, I feel like one of the things people hate the most about group projects is usually splitting up the work in some even way, but like with these it's easier because like we all have skill sets that we've developed over the past 4 years, and like we'll do whatever is necessary to like match what we've learned already.
Yeah.
Nice.
It'll
yeah.
also be a great way for you to get to know some other new people without having to engage in small talk. So that's very good.
That's true. Mm-hmm. It's going to be all business.
It'll also be a great way for me to get a new nightlight.
Yeah. When I hear energy scavenging, I picture, I can't say it, but when I hear it, what I picture is like a little spider nightlight walking around the room, like picking up a piece of energy from everywhere.
That's actually a good design thought. That's a freebie for you.
I do think that it might be less convenient as a nightlight once it gets dark if you can't rely on where it will be.
/ distracting. Like I can't sleep because like it's like traveling around. It's like under my eye. I'm like,
I mean, that's kind of like what the idea of it basically is, just to take advantage of the fact that there's all this energy just sitting around in a room all day and actually use it.
But does it move?
No, it just sits there. I mean, I haven't made it yet, but I imagine we're not going to make it move because that will use a lot of power to run like motors and stuff. Yeah. So that'll just waste the energy immediately.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, see, this is the kind of thing you learn in engineering school, is not do dumb shit like that.
This must be why the engineers I work with always are looking at me funny.
Do you always suggest spider-like things walking around? Because you work for a baby thing company, so...
I have a question, and this is like, I love having scientific people in my life because I have a bunch of like elementary level science questions that they can then answer. So here we go. Glow in the dark wallpaper or paint on your walls. Would that be an example of like something that's, you know, like sunlight's coming through and it's absorbing something? Is that like a similar concept? Like it's absorbing some sort of energy and then producing it later?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Just make some wallpaper.
Just make glow-in-the-dark wallpaper.
Shit, it's already been made. Glow-in-the-dark wallpaper.
Just
Just
bring
go
that.
buy it. That's the best group project ever.
I know, you guys can just like hang out for a year.
Shit, you're right. Easiest project ever.
Done. I should go to college. I would kill at college.
Cool. That's awesome, Ben.
Thanks, Ben. I'm excited to see what kind of light bulbs go off in your head when you have ideas. Okay.
All right. So, good job, everybody. So let's do our wrap-ups, and then I have a listener question, actually, for you, Erin.
A listener question!
Yes. But I don't know, we want to do that before or after we give homework?
I want to do the listener
let's do
question
before.
first.
Okay. The listener question...
Am I a lesbian? Yes!
How did
The
you
listener
guess?
question is from a listener named Liz.
Oh.
She would like to know whether you are skeptical about platypus as well as narwhals.
Great.
Egg-laying mammal with a beak? Come on! That's the rest of the question.
Well, thank you, Liz. Hello. I think I might know who you are. And if so, then I will allow it. I wholeheartedly believe that platypi exist.
What?
I feel like I've seen one at a fucking zoo.
Where?
Additionally, let me get this out. We grew up knowing about platypi. sis. I feel like I was a full-grown adult before I heard about a narwhal. Okay? Can either of you attest to this as well?
No, I did a project on narwhals when I was in like 4th grade.
Well, she's older than you, though, Ben.
Kapow! I was a full-grown adult when you were in 4th grade, Benjamin.
And they're putting stuff in the waters, and it's turning the frogs gay.
Oh my god. Hannah,
Find our podcast at infowars.com/way2broad.
In future episodes, I have more conspiracy theories for you like that I believe. So
Is this a
we'll
segment?
just
Is that
have
a new
this
segment?
Once we run the narwhals dry, we can just start in on those.
We'll make a running list for our family inside jokes, and we'll make a running list for our conspiracy theories, and we'll have just all kinds of segments.
And please, listeners, submit conspiracy
Yeah.
theories. I'm going to make a Google Doc for listener questions and other sources. I feel like we need more ways for our listeners to interact with us.
That's a great idea, Erin.
Other than in person, because all of them are people we know and see every day. So.
We should make an email that we all have access to.
Yeah.
There is an email, actually. Okay, let me start with that. You can email us any questions or comments or anything that you have at waytobroad@gmail.com.
Wow.
You can also always tweet at us or DM the Twitter, our Twitter, which is 2broadpod, TOO broadpod. It's still pod. I don't remember where I got that from. It's got no relation to any words that we use.
Allow it.
But and then I'm at Anthropology, which is anthropology with an H at the beginning of it, but anthropology like the study of people, not like the store. And if you are interested in what your personality type might be, you can check out the website we've been talking about, which is 16personalities.com. It's got really cute little characters for each of the different types of personalities, and I like it a lot. It's a British website.
Oh, I didn't know that. How'd you know that? Was it because you're like, you're an INTP, Hannah? Or something?
Yep, that's exactly what it was. Allow it.
Allow it. I'm historically bad at accents. Notoriously, I think is the word I wanted there. Historically and notoriously.
When I try to do an English accent, Ian, like, cannot control his laughter because he took actual dialect training.
Oh, God, yeah. I always end up sounding like a drunk leprechaun or something like that, no matter what I'm trying to go for. My homework this week, well, you can find me on Twitter at EarnBurn, or on Instagram at Lesbian Movie Reviews, without the stutter. My homework is to read Sarah Waters. Go check her out from the library or buy her book. Do not make me regret mentioning the movie, The Handmaid, until you read Fingerlings, which is actually called Fingersmith. So start with that, and then you can watch the movie. It's a good book.
My Twitter's at NEDiscoGreg, but I'm thinking of changing it soon because I don't like the NE, but until further notice, it's still NEDiscoGreg. I don't really have any homework for the viewers. I have homework for myself, which is to meet with my client about this.
You have a client?
Yeah, it's a startup. If you want to, they're called NanoView Diagnostics. If you want to look at them, if you feel like
basically free labor. Is your school project like free labor for this company?
Well, I mean, like it's kind of. It's not like something they're actually gonna make a product. Probably, I think they're like a biomedical company mainly.
There's just a lot of words I don't know on this website. Extracellular vesicles. Well, Ben gave himself homework, so I think that's it.
That works.
Thanks everybody for listening.
Oh, actually, homework from last week.
What?
Still go read Haruki Murakami because he's still really good. I finished Dance 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 on Monday, and it was very, very good.
That's next on my library list.
Nice.
Ben, 100% true.
I have I was like, I had stopped listening to Kafka on the Shore for a bit, and I started listening to it again after last week. I'm not done with it yet, but I just got to like it keeps getting weirder and weirder. Like I keep on thinking I've reached the weirdest point, and then it gets even more weird.
That's how listeners of our podcast this week will feel.
Okay, well, thank you for listening, and we hope that you guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you later.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Or listen. You'll be listening.
Hear you. Talk to
we
you.
won't hear them. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye.